ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ um there you go. Vaheguru ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki fateh. So today's topic is actually not all the problems of the world, because let's face it, there's a lot of them. We're just gonna talk about some of them and ways of dealing with them, right? So, first things first. I was asked by a friend of mine to cover a topic of discrimination in a workplace, right? Or even in schools or any other position. Of any place in society, talking about the idea of discrimination occurring. On a legal basis, I'll be very honest, I ended up asking a few of my friends about the idea of like discrimination exists, like what can we do about it? And I work at a law firm, right? So and we mainly do employment law. So I ended up asking my colleagues and attorneys that work there about the topic, of discrimination. And I was like, well, what can we do? And the answer I got was that, it's very hard to prove the idea of discrimination. Like, it takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of, like, undeniable proof or evidence to argue that point of view, and showing that there is that's the reason that you were discriminated against, not because of your work ethic, not because like people didn't like you for other reasons. It's just very hard to show that it's derived from like hate. And so what we ended up saying was that, you have to understand that these things are usually not isolated incidences. Like, the reason that discrimination occurs isn't because like you're the only person on the face of the planet that is like a Sikh, or wears a turban, or embraces their religion, or some other factor, including your color or your sexual orientation, whatever it is, whatever descriptors that are attached to you. You're not the only one with them. Other people on the face of the planet have those things that are part of their life. And we have to start acknowledging that. And in order to acknowledge that, we need to start speaking out formally and emailing these companies that, okay, so if you don't get hired by a company, let's just say, because you suspect it's because of your race, email them. Write them a letter. It might not get you any type of personal satisfaction or personal reward, but at least it creates a trend. And if every single person that feels like they've been discriminated against talks about it, if every single person that feels like they have been targeted because of their race, because of their orientation, because of their culture, if every single one of them started emailing their those companies that don't hire them, then someday someone will bring a lawsuit against that company or bring up these charges against this company, and there's a paper trail, because they can't erase any of that stuff. They're not allowed to. So if you give them a formal complaint, and preferably from like the NAACP or like the ACLU or any of these organizations, and have them draft up a letter that says, hey, we just want to know why this person wasn't hired. Did they not have the right, like, what did they do wrong, essentially? And if there's a trend forming that, why is it that every time there's this like Punjabi, Sikh, whatever person coming out talking about this issue, they don't get the job. Like, every time they come out for this opportunity, they don't get it. Then it's easier to, it makes it more doubtful that it's happening because they're not qualified, and more because of these other underlying factors. It's easier to argue that. But if you never have any type of trend, if there's no reason for you to be able to correlate these things, then it's very hard to argue on an individual basis, saying, "Oh, this was happening to me," and then it's easier to point and say, "Yo, it's because of all these other things that could potentially be the source of the problem that's going on." Human beings, for whatever reason, have this tendency to believe that, we what happens to us only happens to us, and that we are isolated, and everything else that happens around us is very, like, self-oriented. But what we don't understand is that these things that occur to us can only be changed by us, and then unless we are willing to work on those things, these trends are going to continue. Discrimination is going to continue. It's a fact of the world. Unless we do something about it, unless we change the trend in which the world is working, these things will actually never go away. And then another example of this is like the idea of makeup. And then now, usually this topic puts most men in deep waters, because it's like, another guy trying to suppress women's rights. No. The thing is that females should be able to do makeup as much as they want to, and it should be their choice. But the thing is that the argument that's usually presented is that, it was my choice to do makeup. It's like, okay, that's true. But now, if there's two paths in your life, just walking down the street, you see two different paths. One is like a dark alleyway with 1,000 muggers and like 5 people that might be able to protect you. And then the other road is like 1,000 people that are trying to protect you and 5 people attacking you. Which road are you more likely to go down? So I don't personally believe that most females have the choice of not doing makeup. Like, generally it comes down to like 3 people in your life that don't want you to do makeup, and there's only 2 ways of going about telling a female not to do makeup. It's either trying to reinforce the idea that, no, you're beautiful, like, you don't need any of this stuff, and that reassurance doesn't work generally. And the other one is obviously force, which it's a terrible idea. I'm just like, it doesn't work. Like, at some point, your parents are gonna be gone from this world, and what are you gonna do at that point? Like, go back to doing makeup, obviously, because you're not doing it for your own motives. You were never taught to love yourself. You were taught to listen to someone. And so I don't personally believe that we give females an opportunity to not do makeup. Like, the world scrutinizes the crap out of them. Their role models most likely do makeup. Like, at a certain age, all we're looking for as human beings is just pure acknowledgement and a place to be, to call home in our social circles. And if everybody in our social circle is doing something, generally we tend to do it as well. That's why we have such an emphasis about choosing who we're around and like knowing your crowd. But if you're someone that's always walking on your own path, it's very hard to find people that are willing to walk on that path with you. It's just a reality. Like, loving each other and understanding that not everything is a cost-benefit analysis is something that we as human beings struggle with on like a huge level. Like, this idea of empowering others and giving people the mentality to be able to do whatever they want for their sake of themselves, instead of like, ew, she doesn't shave, oh my god, she's such a grizzly bear. Like, do you really think that she chooses to shave? It's because there's an insecurity there, and that insecurity is created by like people's and there's just this insecurity that's created that, maybe I should just shave. And at home, they're not going to say anything. Generally, if you have very accepting parents, what are they going to say? It's your choice. At the end of the day, like, no one's going to tell you that they love the scars on your face. That's just not a reality. It's someone trying to kiss your ass. But there will always be people that are telling you, yo, you're hella ugly. You need to be like me. You need to be like these other people. Look at that person. Look at that person. Oh, body soni lagdi. And even if they won't say it to you directly, they will give you a perception of what beauty looks like. And then, how are we to say that, oh, at the end of the day, you do make your own choices? When you're only given one option and only one option looks intriguing. And working on the other side, it's like, yeah, your parents might be understanding, but society isn't. And who makes up society is us. So we need to be held accountable to all of this. Like, why isn't it that we are able to just live our own lives independently, respecting each other's decisions to do makeup, to not do makeup, to be religious, to not be religious? Yo, we're all religious. Let me just clarify all of that. Some people are religious towards money. Some people are religious towards their family. Some people are religious towards weights. Some people are religious to their diets. Some people are religious to Netflix. We all have our own religions. And we all practice our own ways. And it's like, you know how some people will be like, yo, you're not Christian, you're gonna go to hell. You know why that's not very appealing? That's like me saying, yo, if you don't watch Netflix, you're going to hell. Because you watch Hulu. It's like, are you kidding me, fam? If your religion, whatever it is, your diet, your weightlifting, if any of that stuff isn't giving you permanent peace and liberation, that's the thing that Sikhi goes after. It's saying, yo, be religious in whatever you're doing, but this is the way of being religious. This is the lifestyle that you should live by. And continue doing all of those things. And if any of those things are giving you pain, any of those practices are giving you pain in any regard, change it. And the time to change it is today, not tomorrow, because you don't know if tomorrow's coming. You don't even know if the next minute's coming in your life. Again, the topic isn't isolated fixing yourself and that's all that's gonna happen. Yo, we're all walking each other home every single moment of our life. We don't understand how much our community affects us. Whatever orientation we have, it affects who we are at the essence of our being. We can sit there and complain about, oh, yo, all of this stuff happens and I feel a certain way. Or we can address why we feel the way that we do. Where does that need, where does that being, where does that urge for us to fit in come from? And if we don't understand that, and we never are able to comprehend what's going on in the inside of ourselves, then we're doomed to repeat this cycle over and over and over again of, I don't like how I am, so I'm going to put someone else down. I put someone else down, they're going to change, and now I feel better about myself because they're doing exactly what I am. And that cycle of hate, self-hate, just continues and perpetuates throughout the generations. Liberation only comes when you decide that self-hate is not good enough, that self-hate is not a good reason for doing anything. And that's not saying doing makeup is self-hate. I'm saying the reason why you're doing the makeup is self-hate. If you want to do makeup to embrace your womanhood, if you want to do makeup because you want to, it just feels nice, it's therapeutic, then do makeup. But if the reason you're doing it is because you don't like the scars on your face, you don't like it because of the bags under your eyes, you don't like it because it makes you look dead today, yo, those self-image problems, I get it. It's very hard to fight them. But we have to, man. And no one else is going to do it for us. That's just the reality we live in. Maybe in the next few generations, if we're willing to work on these things every single day, every single night, and be able to create this and instill these ideas inside of us that, yo, you look beautiful just the way you are, not because I'm trying to make you feel better, but because that's how I truly feel about you as a human being, regardless of what your past was. I love you for who you are and how you act. Until that happens, we have to be independent enough to be able to say, yo, at the end of the day, you might not feel comfortable in your own skin, but yo, and you might not even like me for anything I say to you, but yo, at the end of the day, it's all love, fam. It always will be. Khalistan is the idea that I'm just talking about. Khalistan is the idea of acceptance for whoever and whatever you are. In fact, today I was watching a documentary on Sunny Leone. She's a porn star, actually. And I was trying to understand like why she made the decisions she made in her life. How her family reacted, how the culture reacted, how society reacted around her. And guess what I learned? That most of what she did was because of necessity. And no one else is going to understand that. And now she doesn't do that anymore, but her past does haunt her. People always remember her for being a porn star and never about just being a human being that was trying to live their life. Anytime she's mentioned as an actor in movies, the first type of movies that will come to people's minds is the adult films. And that is something that she embraces. And she admits that that's going to occur. And that's something that's wrong. Even though she admits that, she shouldn't have to. We've all made mistakes in our lives. We've always done, not saying that whatever she did was a mistake. Again, do whatever you want to do. If you're not happy with your decisions in life, then that's to you. If those things bring you pain in any regard or aren't fixing your perception of the world and liberating you from these chains of the world, then that's some introspective work you need to do. But the world needs to stop. We need to stop criticizing people for things that we have no control over. Like, people love saying this, be like, Rabatenu nafrat karu, or like, God will hate you for it. It's like, who the hell made you God's like spokesperson? Essentially, and I'm usually talking to religious people, like, who the hell made you the spokesperson of God? I'm gonna be honest, all of this stuff that I'm saying makes most people cringe, and I understand that we're not used to talking about these things, and we're not used to talking about like sex, but guess what? There's only like one generally accepted way of having kids. So we need to understand that all of these things, they exist. And we need to accept that, yo, people are going to make their own decisions in life and they are going to follow whatever they want to, and they're entitled to that decision. If they feel pain, they're entitled to that pain, and they will fix it themselves, and other people are supposed to be there to support them. That's the whole idea of a society. But hating other people doesn't fix anything. Hating other groups, hating other people's ideas, their knowledge, their opinions, doesn't fix anything. It's understanding them, and then being able to get to the root of it, and then having a conversation at one level. And again, I've talked about this in the past, but I'll say it one more time. The reason we say Fateh to any Sikh we ever meet is because it brings us to one plane. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how young you are. It doesn't matter how much you know. At that point, the conversation is Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. That we belong to that same entity, so we fight for the same exact movement, that same exact principle, and at the end of the day, the victory is only of that same entity. It's not a victory of me, and it's not a victory of you. So ego has to go out the window for every Sikh. It's just something that we don't understand. And same thing with this idea of Khalistan. You asked me about my views on Khalistan. Well, Khalistan is the basis of agrarian rights. We want people to be able to practice whatever they want without discrimination, without any retaliation, without any repercussions, unless those repercussions are negative towards other people and strip people of their own liberties. And unless that type of Khalistan exists, then I don't understand what type of Khalistan we're fighting for. I just don't understand this idea. Working together and being able to embrace each other's flaws in life, that's just something that we have to own up to. We have to accept that, and we have to move forward. The ideas, and like most people will say, yo, Jaspreet, your like ideas sound so amazing. It's like, yo, they're not my ideas. This stuff is written in Guru Granth Sahib and almost every other like holy scripture out there to some extent, and they're all misconstrued. I personally believe that way. But the only one I can talk about or have the, like, not even have the authority of, the only one that I feel comfortable talking about is Guru Granth Sahib. And it starts with Ik Onkar. This idea of ik doesn't, like, it's very powerful and it sounds very nice, but we hate implementing it for whatever reason. Like, here's another example. Gay marriage. Yo, if both people want to follow the path of the Guru, and they want to get married and be able to walk that path of the Guru at the same time, who are we to stop them? Who made us the guardians of our Guru? Guru protects himself. And yeah, if like every single weekend we go to like millions of vyas. This is wedding season, essentially. There's a wedding like every other week, or not even every week, at least 2 or 3 at the same gurdwara. Tell me, like, how many of us actually understand what lama mean? And then we have no problem with that. The most kattar Sikhs, the most like the malle tying, the most pag wearing, the most kirpan wearing, like the biggest kirpana in the world, will go to that vyah, have absolutely no problem, and then get on stage and have the audacity to say that eh parivar de jehde member a bade bade Sikh a, like they're the most like discipled people on the face of the planet. Seva bahut kiti hai, you know, like all the kiss ass things that we do at the Gurdwara. And we'll lie about it, and then we'll go home, and then no one peeps a word. It's just like, byah bada sona hoya si, like, Shahi Paneer was very, very good. Like, and then we'll call it a good day. And then, why the uprising when, if 2 homosexuals who abide by the Guru completely want to get married and adhere to the Guru, then we all lose our shit because they're homosexuals. I want people to provide the exact line in Guru Granth Sahib Ji which forbids the idea of homosexuality. Not the cultural aspect, and don't tell me that it's like, oh, it just never happened, so they never talked about it. Like, Guru Sahib thought about everything. If we say Sarb Kala Samrat, he's a master of all crafts and all things and all disciplines, then Guru Nanak and the Gurus had the foresight to talk about this stuff. And any shabad that anyone will ever provide on this topic, I bet you, if you read the whole shabad, the idea of that line is being misconstrued. That's just the truth. Now, the thing that like bugs me is like, we'll never have a problem with people that absolutely don't give a crap about Sikhi, absolutely don't understand the idea of Sikhi. Getting married, no one will bat an eye because they'll say Sikh Parivar to aaya. Like, what does that mean? Not a Sikh Parivar, they come from a Punjabi Parivar. Let's be honest, that's what you're trying to say. And then we have some entitled, like, we have a entitled view on, oh, like, Sikhi belongs to Punjabis. And that's wrong. Sikhi belongs to whoever wants to practice Sikhi, period. And, I just saw the name of that account. Anyways, But I don't agree with the idea that we should ever discriminate people based off of their like sexual preferences. And I also don't agree with the fact that we should stop anybody from getting married at the Gurdwara. Like, laha lano neya. We come to get some sort of profit from the Guru. And if you don't walk away with some sort of profit, that's up to you. I am not there to tell you you can't do your like marriage at the Gurdwara. I'm just telling you, yo, if you don't walk on the path of the Guru, you're wasting your time. That's all I'm going to tell you. And if you still don't want to listen, that's up to you. All these like danga lake firne wale like babbe that like exist at Gurdwara, like what are you doing? Why? If we talk about this idea of acceptance, if we talk about the fact of this idea of ekta doesn't exist just in Sikhi. And again, I'm beating the drum over and over again, but Bhai Nandlal was a Musliman. Get that through your head. Guru Angad Dev Ji, before he became Guru, he was Bhai Lena. And he was a hotshot known member of being of I think it was Durga Mata's devotee. Like, what is going on? If those type of people were accepted and revered in our society, if that's our heritage and that's our culture and we revere it, then why are we changing it now? And quite honestly, the answer is it's because we're so lost in the idea of ourselves and the insecurities we have that we display those insecurities on other people. If I'm not accepted for who I am, you shouldn't be accepted for who you are. And that's wrong. No. The idea of protection of yourself. Alright. Why do we wear a kirpan? I'll cover this topic right now. There are three types or three categories of weaponry in Sikh belief systems, right? Or Shastra Vidya. First is Shastra, which is hand-to-hand combat, which is Kirpana, and Tal, and Katar, and like Tegs, and all those things. Second is the idea of Astar. Astar is firearms. Any projectile weapon, bow and arrow, guns, cannons, tanks, missiles, whatever. The third is Bastar, which is armory, like vests, Kevlar, steel, plates, whatever, chainmail. So no, you don't protect yourself with a butter knife. I wear a kirpan on me and it works just fine. Should you know how to use one? Of course. We're supposed to be trained in that, and that's one of the hukams given to me by my Guru Gobind Singh Ji in his 52 hukams to all of his Sikhs. Excuse me. I carry the bare minimum. I carry my Shastar. I should have Astar, and I'm working on getting Astar. With my kirpan. I always wear one. Always with me. And it's my religious it's my article. It's an article of faith because part of my faith is this belief of self-protection at all times. It just exists. It's a part of our ideology. Is this idea that our faith is not just internal, it's external. And it shows in every aspect of our lives. Again, I've talked about this idea of showing what we are and being who we are. Because at the end of the day, sweet words don't get along with everyone. And I forget the exact quote, but Guru Sahib says, when all other avenues of diplomacy or resolving an issue don't work out, then it is just for us to carry weapons. And then that idea of Shastra te adin hai Raj, then those things have to exist, and they do exist. Is it acceptable that I have to carry a weapon at all times? Probably not. But that's just the circumstance we live in. So short-term answer is get yourself ready. Actually, always be ready. Always be prepared for any situation that comes across to you. And the long-term solution is fix the problem. That's what we have to do. It's not an either or thing. It's not like, oh, the world doesn't like me doing certain things. It's like, okay, what are we going to do about it? Our parents are going to tell us not to dress a certain way, or we're going to be told not to walk outside after a certain time. But then there's also the idea of knowing how to defend yourself. Always be ready. That's our mentality. Because let's face it, at some point, let's just say rape stops being an issue tomorrow. Cool? I'm still going to carry a kirpan on me because you don't know when that stuff is going to come back. It's just like the light and shadows. As long as the sun is up, the shadows will be restricted to the trees and to the buildings and to those areas. And as the sun moves around and tries getting rid of those shadows are going to move somewhere else, take a different form. But the second the sun falls down and goes down for the day, shadows rule the world. That's why we carry kirpana at all times. That's why we are ready to have a conversation at all times. That's why we're told to be ready for political, economic, every aspect of our life. We are told to be ready because we don't know when those skills are going to be used and when what's going to be required of us. So be ready for it all. It's a tall order, but again, complaining about it never solves anything. That's just the truth of it. Washing hair. Okay. Wash your hair. What does it say in Bani? It says, Mut paliti kappad hoye de sabun liye otoe. पर ये मत पापा के संग ओ तो पहनावे के रंग पुन्नी पापी अखरनाय कर कर करना लिख ले जा आपे बीज आपे ही खा नानक हुक्मी आवो जा. That it's good. Wash your body. You're supposed to wash it. When you get soiled, wash yourself. And it's about cleanliness. But just understand the idea that it's not the outside cleanliness that matters. Cleaning yourself physically, you can wash yourself 1,000,000 times. But it doesn't clean the stuff that's on the inside. So, yeah, you asked me about the idea of washing my hair. That's the answer. Is wash your hair. Wash it 1,000,000 times. Wash it till you're bald. But understand that, washing your hair doesn't make you clean. And again, taking 4 showers a day doesn't make you clean. I'm being honest. It's actually very, very unhealthy. You're actually damaging almost all your skin if you do that. There is always it's scientifically proven. There's always bacteria on your body. It's just we have a natural biome. And that biome, like I believe it was like 97 or 98%, some very high number of all bacteria that exists on the face of the planet is actually not harmful to us. It's like that 2%, or like I think it was even like a point something percent of all bacteria on the face of the planet are actually able to do something to us. And so, like, it's like, what is cleanliness? If we always have a biome, our mouth always has a biome. We are full of germs. Like, literally, the tip of my nose has, like, I think one or two different cultures of bacteria of it on it, at least. My forehead does too. My hands do as well. So, like, I'm not saying don't wash your hands. I'm just saying washing your hands doesn't make you pure or holy. Because holiness has to come from within, and holiness has to be perception. It has to be a thought process. It has to be a window. It has to be a lens with which we see everything as one, and that's the only one thing that exists in the world. Recognize it and then serve it, and then help others recognize it as well. And that's the only type of Seva Bani talks about. Is about helping others recognize the oneness. Because, everything else is going to go. The food's going to rot, or it's going to be eaten and turned into poop and then fertilize something, and then that fertilizer is going to plant something or some other tree, and that tree at some point is going to die, and that tree is going to become decomposed and become some other tree's food. It's just a cycle. Everything shall perish, regardless of what you think of it. And we're stuck in this vicious cycle, and we feed into it. It's like this idea of, I need to get this money, I need to get this degree, I need to make my family happy, I need to do all of this stuff. It's like, you know how futile all of that stuff is? It's gonna go. Good. Enjoy it while it exists, while it lasts. Like, chill with it. But also understand that's not that's not what's going to make you happy. None of that stuff is going to last, and none of that stuff is going to truly make you, that vacant feeling inside of you, ever disappear. And true, like, everybody's going to say, Jaspreet, that's because you're religious and you push this idea of religion. Well, no. Here's, like, my belief system. It's like, if I had a really, really good gulab jamun, I want other people to have that gulab jamun. That's just the truth. I'm not greedy with my gulab jamun. Actually, I am. But besides the point. If I have some really, really good food, I want other people to have that same food. I want other people to enjoy that same food. But guess what I've learned? And this is why people are very aggressive about religion, and it takes really long for people to understand. I can't make you eat the food. I can't describe the food to you. I can kind of tell you what it is. And I can kind of tell you the path of it a little bit, maybe. But walking it and experiencing it and the individual process of it is all you. And I'm just saying that, I feel a certain way about it all. And it's helped me in my life. And this orientation of everything around this idea of what we call, quote unquote, Sikhi and religion has fixed my personal life. And that's all I can do. And this idea of helping other people, again, back to the topic we're like discussing today. Helping other people isn't like, forcing other people or pressuring other people into doing stuff. It's like, I care about you. And that way of showing care isn't like forcing something down people's throat. That's not caring. Caring about someone is by saying that, I want what's best for you, and here's my opinion about going about it, and then letting them make their choice. The thing that's so powerful about love and care is that it's everlasting because it comes from your own self. No one has to tell you to do it. I'm gonna end this live here right now. Please let me know how it went. Any questions, concerns you guys have. Any aspects that you guys would like me to change, any critiques, any opinions about anything I've said, questions, concerns, again, please hit me up. I'm always open to suggestions. And I truly mean that. Most of what I say, most of the topics that I cover are generally told or asked for from and by other people. And so I just want you guys to understand that all of this stuff is cultivated by you guys for anyone, and I don't have the answers to everything. You might ask me something and I might not have an answer to it. Um, but I will try my best to give you guys an answer, and I'll give you a answer, and none of this is the answer. It might be, I don't know. I'm still learning, and then I'm trying to talk about this stuff. And so this is my opinion now. It might change in the future. So please do your own research, and without saying anything else, I'm going to end it here by saying Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.